Hello, and welcome to this scientific video abstract. My name is Martínez-Molina. I'm a postdoctoral researcher in the Music, Aging and Rehabilitation Group at the University of Helsinki, Department of Psychology and Logopedics. I am the lead author of the open access, peer-reviewed scientific article published in Brain Communications, Neuroanatomical Correlates of Speech and Singing Production in Chronic Post-Stroke Aphasia. In the next few minutes, I will explain the clinical context and structural MRI findings of our work. Amongst stroke survivors, 35% experience aphasia, a debilitating loss of linguistic processing and production abilities, even 1 year after the stroke and speech therapy. Despite impairments in speech production, a classical observation in neurology has been the relative preservation of singing ability in aphasic patients. However, while the lesion and intact brain regions crucial for speech production have been successfully mapped, virtually nothing is known about the neuroanatomical substrates of singing production in aphasia. In this work, we set out to determine the neuroanatomical correlates of speech and singing production in aphasia using structural MRI and production rate, which is a commonly reported measure of fluency in language impairments. A sample of 45 patients with chronic post-stroke aphasia underwent a structural MRI. Subsequently, we applied a support vector regression-based multivariate lesion-symptom mapping technique to define the lesion locations associated with poor speech and singing production. In addition, we used voxel-based morphometry to explore gray matter volume associated with performance in these tasks. Spontaneous vocal production was assessed in the speech domain using the picture description task of the Western Aphasia Battery and personal information and picture sequence description tasks, which were averaged together. Spontaneous singing production was assessed by asking the patients to sing with lyrics the Finnish version of Brother John. Cue repetition was assessed with two tasks, where the patients were asked to repeat 16 short phrases presented with normal prosody, speech repetition, and melodic intoning, singing repetition. Moreover, based on the production rate in spontaneous singing, the patients were classified into fluent and disfluent singers using a normative cutoff value from healthy controls in the same task. The support vector regression lesion symptom mapping approach revealed lesion patterns for impaired spontaneous speech and cue speech and singing repetition that extended into left frontal, temporal, and parietal areas typically reported within the speech production network. The voxel-based morphometry approach indicated that better spontaneous speech was associated with greater gray matter volume in the left middle frontal gyrus, whereas better cue repetition of spoken and sung phrases was associated with greater gray matter volume in the left procedural gyrus and superior temporal gyrus, respectively. In contrast to the previous patterns, impairment in spontaneous singing was associated with damage to the left anterior, posterior, superior, and middle temporal gyri. The voxel-based morphometry provided converging evidence by showing that better spontaneous singing was associated with greater gray matter volume in the left superior temporal gyrus. Finally, we found a positive relationship between performance in spontaneous singing and gray matter volume in the left middle temporal gyrus for the subset of patients classified as disfluent singers. Interestingly, when comparing the percentage of damage in the vocal motor network between fluent and disfluent singers, only temporal regions in the left hemisphere were significantly more damaged in disfluent singers. In summary, our study provides the first evidence on the neuroanatomical correlates of singing in chronic aphasia and corroborates previous findings on speech production. Our results suggest that preservation of left temporal regions may be crucial for fluent spontaneous singing in chronic aphasia. In the future, our findings may guide the stratification of patients for longitudinal studies with singing-based interventions for speech recovery. I would like to end this presentation by thanking you for your attention. You can find more details of our study in Brain Communications, and if you have any queries or comments, feel free to contact me.